Good morning. I am Jamal Wright, Superintendent of the Little Rock School District, and I am joined today by members of our Board of Education, Ms. Vicki Hatter, Ms. Evelyn Calloway, Mr. Michael Mason, Ms. Sandrika Morning, and our Board President, Greg Adams, who will share remarks in a few minutes. I'm also joined today by district leaders and several principals from across our district. We are all here in solidarity of our commitment to all students at LRSD. The Arkansas Department of Education has publicly released school grades for all public school districts across the state. Today, we want to take this opportunity to share important information and context about these grades to all within the LRSD community. For those who are not aware, school grades are derived for each school using multiple measures, which include the following: the degree to which students are meeting grade level expectations, and how students grow from one year to the next in reading, English, math, and science on our state assessment, which is the ACT Aspire. Another measure is the degree to which our English language learners are progressing, which is measured by a different assessment, and also by attendance. For our high schools, there are a host of additional measures that contribute to a school's grade, such as graduation rates, the degree to which students earn course credits each year, how students perform on the actual ACT, GPAs, if students are taking computer science courses, the number of students taking advanced placement, International Baccalaureate, and other college courses. And finally, the number of students earning community service learning credits. So as you can see, there are many factors that go into how a school grade is earned. And although it is more than just how students perform on the state assessment each year, that one test does carry a lot of weight. Now we can debate all day long about what is right and what is wrong, and what is fair and not fair about this one test. And trust me, there are some real alignment issues with this assessment and our state curriculum. But the fact is, this is how our students and our schools are currently assessed, and we also know we must rise to the occasion and show that students in LRSD are just as capable as students in other districts who may be showing more success than we are today. Our students collectively may have more barriers to overcome, but we must push through these challenges and prove just how exceptional our students are. As a reminder, the last time schools received letter grades in the state of Arkansas was in 2019, prior to the pandemic. At that time, school grades in LRSD were as follows. At the elementary level in 2019, we had 4 schools that were A's, 3 B's, 4 C's, 9 D's, and 4 F's. In 2019, at the middle school level, which also includes all of our K-8 schools, we had 2 A's, 0 B's, 2 C's, 3 D's, and 0 F's. At the high school level, in 2019, all of our high schools received C's. We are all aware of how devastating the impact of the pandemic has been on the entire world and in our country in particular. Everything from the economy to social issues, politics, health, mental health issues, crime, poverty, all of these things were made much worse as a result of the pandemic. The same holds true for education. Student learning and student outcomes were all negatively impacted despite the valiant efforts of our teachers who were often teaching virtually and in person at the same time. Our teachers sacrificed and endured so much during the pandemic, and we commend them for their creativity and flexibility. Despite how hard our educators worked over the last 2 years, there should be no surprise that school grades declined in LRSD from 2019 to 2022, just as you will see declines in grades in other Arkansas districts. After 2 years of pandemic learning, our school grades in LRSD are as follows. In elementary, we moved from 4 A's to 3, from 3 B's to 2, from 4 C's to 2, from 9 D's to 2, and from 4 F's to 15. At the middle school level, we moved from 2 A's to 0, from 0 B's to 1, from 2 C's to 2, from 3 D's to 1, and from 0 F's to 4. At the high school level, we moved from all C's to 2 C's to 2 D's and 1 F. When you look at the distribution of grades, you will see a correlation between achievement and poverty. With the exception of Gibbs Magnet Elementary and Forest Heights STEM Academy, all LRSD schools with a grade of an A or B are non-Title I schools with poverty rates ranging from 15% to 39%. Title I schools are schools that receive federal funding based on a student poverty rate of 40% or more. The poverty rate for schools receiving C's range from 40% to 56%. The poverty rate for schools receiving D's range from 42% to 98%. And the poverty rate for schools receiving F's range from 82% to 97%. Poverty is not an excuse for underachievement. There are many examples of public schools with high poverty rates and high achievement all over the country and right here in LRSD. I've already mentioned 2 Title I LRSD schools who have consistently achieved A's and B's. Forest Heights STEM Academy with a poverty rate of 48%, and Gibbs Magnet with a poverty rate of 52%. We also have Title I schools where students are growing and academic gaps are closing at very high rates. These Title I schools were recently recognized as high growth schools. They include Wakefield Elementary with a poverty rate of 98%, Fulbright Elementary with a poverty rate of 45%, Otter Creek Elementary with a poverty rate of 51%, West High School of Innovation with a poverty rate of 42%, and Hallstein Magnet High School with a poverty rate of 86%. We have proof right here in LRSD that academic achievement can occur in high poverty schools, but it requires highly effective educators and a motivated staff, in addition to more resources and support, and it also requires shared ownership and responsibility. We are not afraid of accountability in LRSD. As a matter of fact, we embrace it. However, the weight of responsibility and ownership cannot rest solely on us. Trust me, we have much work to do to improve our system and to improve school performance. We are developing an aggressive plan to do so. As I outlined when I arrived, my goal and dream are that the catchphrase, reimagining LRSD, will become a reality. There are a lot of great things we do well as a district, but there are some things we don't do well. And for those areas, we cannot afford to continue to do things the same way and expect different results. Among our commitments as we work to reimagine LRSD, we have a renewed focus on teaching and learning. We are putting systems in place to streamline our curriculum with an increased emphasis on professional development. Our central office team and I will be in schools a great percentage of the time, inspecting what we expect when it comes to teaching and learning. We will also emphasize relationship building with students and families. And we will provide student choice and voice in learning with differentiation in opportunities. We have used and will continue to use financial resources strategically to provide supplemental support, including resources, tutoring, and intervention to address unfinished learning. As we continue to reimagine LRSD, I remain excited about our potential to transform our district into a high-performing urban school district, a model for what can be done when we all put aside personal agendas for the sake of what is best for our children. This can only be accomplished with the help of our community. And yesterday, the LRSD community once again provided their commitment to our district by renewing the property tax renewal measure with almost a 61% approval percentage. Thank you to the citizens of Little Rock. Our city cannot be great without a great public school district. And with your continued support, we know we can become great. Thank you also to the parents and guardians of our 21,000 plus students who continue to entrust us with the education of your children. We know you have choices, and we thank you for choosing us and trust that you will continue choosing us in the future. Again, we acknowledge we have much work to do to make our district better and more accountable to our community and to our parents. We commit to seeking new ways to engage and serve our parents better. We also need help from our parents to improve student attendance and student engagement. We cannot be effective in this work if we don't work together. It is going to take the collective power of everyone to make our district a world-class learning institution. In closing, know that a school grade does not solely define or indicate quality. There are LRSD schools that may not have a grade letter of an A or B, but there are places where children are loved, cared for, and receive a high-quality educational experience. These are places where we provide wraparound services, ensuring students receive medical and dental care, take-home meals, and other intangible support. To our students and staff who may be working at a school that received an F grade, please know that you are not a failure, and your school is not a failing school. Do not allow this grade to define you or to cause you to think you are less than. This is an opportunity for you to reflect, to refocus, and to reimagine a new reality for your school. Use this as an opportunity to show your intellect, talents, skills, and abilities. Stay self-confident and continue to work hard toward your goals, outlining the steps and actions it takes to achieve them. More importantly, know that you can count on all of us to come together to show that we are a community that cares about students' futures. At this time, I'd like to invite Board President Adams to share remarks, and then we will open the floor to questions from the media, should there be any. Mr. Adams?
Thank you, Dr. Wright. 2 years ago, the Little Rock School District elected its first board of directors since losing local governance in January 2015. Every new board member, and our newest board member appointed last month and elected last night, ran in part because they knew that we could and must do better for our children, and we wanted to support the district in growth and improvements needed to help more students reach their potential. In that light, these new grades are disappointing, deeply concerning, and sadly not fully surprising. The locally elected board returned in the middle of a historic and unprecedented pandemic, and that pandemic has been horrible to the educational environment, to students, their families, and to teachers and staff. It made a challenging situation so much more difficult. This board and this district have not been and are not now satisfied with where we are. Before the pandemic, academic performance was not as strong and consistent as it needed to be. Many students thrived and excelled, but too many did not. Our board and district has set goals which will challenge us to do more and do better. we are determined to do the hard work necessary for real progress. As we assess where we are today and where we want to be, it is worth noting what these new grades mean and what they don't mean. These new grades mean that we have even more work to do than we did in 2019. Work to support and educate students and to help those who have fallen behind. And work to earn and keep the confidence of our community. They don't mean that our efforts in recent years, and especially the heroic efforts during the worst of the pandemic, were in vain. Without the remarkable dedication of our teachers and staff, we would be in a much more difficult situation today. They don't mean that there are not students excelling, growing, and learning in every school. They do mean that we will need to intensify our focus and find new and improved ways to build upon the strengths in our district and in each school. Our students deserve nothing less. Our board hired Dr. Wright to help us reach new levels of academic achievement throughout the district. And this board is dedicated to having the hard conversations and considerations needed to support significant change and growth. We'll be having some of those conversations even later this week and month. We ask all our stakeholders and community members to stay engaged with us as the hard work of progress happens. Working together, we know we will have brighter reports to bring to you in the future.
Not sure if there are any questions. Yes, sir.
Dr. Wright, you said there's some alignment issues when it comes to this test. I was wondering, could you expound on that? What do you mean by that?
Just simply that the content on the assessment is not necessarily aligned to our state curriculum. And so our students take a test that does not necessarily align with what we've been teaching them throughout the school year.
Okay. And you have a history from your time in Denver when it comes to turnaround schools and being successful at that. In your short time here, what are some unique challenges that Little Rock faces when it comes to this situation?
I think the challenges here in Little Rock are the same challenges that every urban district across our country is facing. And we can boil it down to literacy. We know that literacy is the foundation of everything. We know that we have much more work to do to make sure that our earliest learners, that we close those gaps and attack those gaps as soon as possible. We know that our students and family and our communities are dealing with all types of social, emotional issues that we also, as a school district, have to address. And so we're putting together more supports to kind of help our students and our parents deal with a lot of social, emotional issues as well.
Dr. Wright, Ian Russell from THB 11. To the parents of students in those schools that regress and drop some of those grades, what do you say to them?
I will say to them, do not lose hope in us. As a school district, there are lots of things that we can control. There was nothing that we can control with the pandemic. Trying to, switch to virtual learning and all the other impacts of the pandemic, it just made teaching and learning and running schools much more difficult. And so a lot of those things were outside of our control. I will say to our parents who are in schools who may not be in a school with a favorable grade, to just give us a little bit more time to show how committed we are as a district and how committed our employees are and all the extra supports that we're going to put in place to help address some of the unfinished learning that our students have experienced.
And I know obviously it's a massive undertaking to address this and change things, but what's the first step you'd like to address to kind of get LRSD back to some of those pre-pandemic numbers?
I think we're already taking a lot of those steps, and the first thing is to make sure that all of our employees across our district understand what our core business is. And our core business is teaching and learning. And so everything that we do in our district, regardless of what role that you have, whether you're in finance, payroll, food service, our number one goal, our number one priority is to support teaching and learning. And teaching and learning happens in all of our schools. And so it's our job as a district to make sure that we are serving our schools, that we're providing them the types of supports that they need, and that as a district we remain focused on the most important thing and not allow us to become distracted by so many things that we can become distracted by.
Austin Bailey from the Arkansas Times. I was hoping you could help us put this in perspective a bit. Can you address how Little Rock School District performed compared to other districts in the state, and if this was about what you expected, better or worse?
I can't speak to other districts in the state because I really haven't spent that much time reviewing other districts' data, but I have talked to several of my superintendent colleagues across the state, and I do know that we all are experiencing declines in letter grades and our ESSA scores. And we all are, trying to figure out the best way that we can come out of this pandemic. I don't think I wasn't here in previous years, and so I wasn't necessarily surprised by the impact of the pandemic on our school grades. Like I said, what's happening here also happened in my previous district where I work, and so it's no surprise that scores decline. We've just got to pull together and do what we need to do to make things better.
So you kind of talked about some of the things that you guys are working on. What can members of the community do to be supportive and to be helpful?
I would say, we have a major drive and push to increase the number of volunteers that we have in our schools, specifically mentors for a lot of our students. I think a lot of our students in our community can use the extra motivation, the extra push, and we don't have enough mentors to support all of the students that are in need of mentors across our district. So I would say that's one of the things that you will hear us asking for more support from our community from.
Are there any specific mentorship programs that you need more people with?
So we are working with Big Brothers Big Sisters. We're also revamping our whole VIPS program, and so we're actually putting together a plan to where anybody who wants to mentor any student within our district can either go through the partnership that we're developing with Big Brothers or Big Sisters, or go through the process that we're developing within our own district. All right. Thank you guys for coming out.
Well done, sir. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Good job. Take a deep breath.
Really well done. I didn't feel like I needed to say anything else. You guys were doing well.